Good afternoon. This is Memorial Day, and many of us have family members or those we know who gave their lives for their nation, literally. And we celebrate their commitment and the fact that they were loyal to the nation, even when those sending them to war were not as careful. And we could go back to different wars. We all have the view and may have had parents who dedicated themselves to that war and family members were lost. And my dad was involved in that war, and so was my uncle and others that the family knew. And so we have a special place for that. In Vietnam, it appears that our plan, our resolve, and then how we measured success or failure was not honestly represented to the people, and particularly how we were measuring whether we were going to win or not. And so we fled Vietnam with our tail between our legs. But this does not diminish the men and women who followed orders and who committed themselves to that effort. And we have had since then Iraq. How many people were killed in Iraq or Afghanistan based on bad decisions by people who never saw a minute of combat? And we have members in the House and the Senate who make this decision, and you would think for the fact that they did not serve, that they would be especially careful. And not serving doesn't mean that you did anything inappropriate. It's just that this is not a light decision to make, and it's not a political decision to make in the sense of how you satisfy your constituents. Those who had seen combat and who know about it should also have a guarded view about when we invoke violence. The alternative to violence is diplomacy, is what the State Department's supposed to do. And it's somewhat ironic that in the so-called deal, the tentative deal that we're being asked to accept, now reduced to 99 pages, that we're going to increase defense spending, even as we either hold solid or decrease spending for the general welfare. The nation doesn't have its priorities in order, and the nation responds to bullies. Consider the fact that the steps that the Republicans take are somewhat like their attack on women's rights. It took them 50 years to have a Supreme Court that would outlaw a woman's right of privacy and to have dominion over her own body. And domestically, what the Republicans have wanted to do ever since it was created was to compromise and Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and projects like that. More money for Wall Street. And don't kid yourself, that's what's going on. And our leaders have made us susceptible to the bullying by saying, well, we can't do more than that. There are crazies on the other side. What else could we do? We could have done what past presidents did and said we will not negotiate. Indeed, Trump said he would not negotiate. What changed his mind? He was cowed into doing what the Republicans wanted. Now, my friends write to me and say, could I do any better? Well, depending on how you outline the task, yes, I could. It doesn't take a lot to say I'm not going to negotiate and to plan for the difficulties that will face us should we go over the brink. And we have done it before because past presidents have said, I draw the line there. And it appeared that Biden had done that and might even consider the 14th Amendment, Section 4, to go forward without a concern for the debt limit, increasing it. But that didn't happen. We folded. Now, some would say in a normal conflict situation that we blinked. Well, we did more than blink. We just gave up the ghost. We made fun of past presidents if they drew a line in the sand and then said, it doesn't matter to me, and then they didn't do anything about it. The land of the free and the home of the brave is compromised in both respects. We are losing freedoms daily because of bullying that takes it away. And as for brave of our elected officials, that's a scant resource. Bravery in public life, forget it. We don't see it. And I'd say a minority of my friends, and some go back a long way, are saying, oh, could you do better? Well, it's not about me doing better. We have had past presidents who said I won't negotiate, and they didn't negotiate, and they got past the debt limit. Even Trump increased the debt limit, and he didn't get anything else in trade for it. So where do we stand, and how should we evaluate it? Well, I think it's no accident that we drive this up to the last date. And why would we do that? Because the rest of the scenario is to present a tentative agreement and then push it as the final agreement. And in the 99 pages to conceal whatever you can in terms of multisyllabic words and descriptions that conceal what's really going on here. And have them vote this week, like Tuesday, Wednesday. And the reason being, we don't want a chance to review it. How many copies will be on the floor of this bill? Will it be as easy to understand as they say? Now, I've talked about some of the things that Democrats don't get and Republicans get in prior walk and talks. But today I read a story, and it said that among the things is to expedite the approval of the Mount Valley pipeline. It's a natural gas pipeline that we in Virginia have been resisting, in part because it's all going to be natural gas liquefied and go offshore. It's not for us, it's for profit. And in the bargain, we're going to destroy whole areas of Virginia, wildlife and environmental locations and venues that there's no need to do this for. But that's what they want to do. And there have been a lot of people who've been compromised and suffered because of the taking of land and things like that. Now, who's in support of this small provision that others might not pay attention to? Manchin, of course. And, am I saying that business is all for this and that's what this is about? Yeah, I am saying that. And you know what the key is? The Business Roundtable has come out and said, we got to pass this immediately. Why? We can't stand the scrutiny. More people will find how we're being compromised. The Chamber of Commerce, also 100% for this bill. We got 77 progressive Democrats who've been mute. Why? Because they have decided, the leadership in the House on the Democratic side has decided they're going to pass this bill. So A, we failed to not negotiate, and did negotiate, though we said we would not negotiate. And then we cut a deal, and we think it's a success that our priorities are not damaged as much as they could, even as the Republicans get advantages that they will immediately upon the passage of this dance in the streets, dance on the political graves of some of the people in the House who supported this deal. So this is a hard choice to make. Now, what about, the Republican caucus? Are they going to break up? I think they're going to put on a show, give us noise, but no Jacket, Jordan, and Green are going to buck up the team to support this deal, because this is, in their way of thinking, a victory. They push back on Biden, they push back on the elements of the budget, and they've got something to crow about, and we're embarrassed because our president didn't show a little muscle here. So his past experience, when it has helped, has been to carve out agreements on the Hill. And, Obamacare was one of those examples. But it's not worked here. And the advice he got to sort of keep his powder dry by keeping the debt limit a question after the election for political reasons is offset by the fact that he went back on his word, went back on his position, caved to the Republicans, and even caved about the content of what they're describing as just minor changes that are not minor to the people who are affected by them. So, to my friends, this is my honest belief. Unlike people who are elected or with this or that organization, I don't have a dog in the fight that way. But my friends who are entering their older years, and that Social Security is important, Medicare is important, Medicaid may be important to others. These things are the objective of scorn by the Republicans. And so, they were embarrassed in the presence of Biden at his speech on the state of the nation. But where's the beef? To borrow unfortunately, from Reagan. The answer is, I don't know, a little bologna. No steak. And since I'm a vegetarian, no high-protein veggies, plant-based veggies out there. So, now, to make things clear, unlike Manchin, I believe that Biden served us well when he replaced Trump as president. But his assignment is not over. And his score on some of the most important issues is not good. And if you can't have differences when the person you support all of a sudden doesn't support your interests, then what is the value of the First Amendment? What is the value of a democracy? If I can't say Biden screwed up here, then what kind of a democracy is this? This is no different than the Republicans, or John Adams with his alien and sedition laws. How dare you contradict me? Or the phony presses that have been created since the beginning of this nation to take the position of the government in the public fight as if some independent organ is fighting. Fox is not a surprise. Fox is just the most, or among the most, successful of the modern day organs of a party and of a past president. And if we don't figure this out, we're going to have another term of Trump, and he's going to pardon a whole bunch of people, and he's going to do all these things that these assholes have been edging to do most of my life. So when somebody says, this is a good deal, tell them to tell their representatives, this is not a good deal. You guys are selling us out for political reasons and fear and being cowardly. And that's not what we hired you for. That's not what we voted you for. The gap between us, we the citizens of the United States, and our representatives show that not only are men above the laws, and women too, but that representation doesn't mean what the dictionary says. Because we're not being represented, we're being ignored. So keep that in mind when you legitimately are tired of, on a day-to-day basis, our party and our people failing us, and the Republicans clearing the cupboard out for their desires and their aims that do not include us. So that's enough. I'm in my cathedral of trees, and I hope you had a terrific day, and tomorrow's back to the grind, for me anyhow. Bye-bye.